Hey there, winos. This is Vince.Wine. I just popped the cork on one of my favorite varietals, Sangiovese. This is a wine that breaks all of the rules. We're gonna find out why on today's Uncorked. Hey, thanks for joining me. Before we get started today, if you want to be a winoceros, hit subscribe on this channel to become a wino today. I'll put out new videos every single week, so be sure to hit that bell icon to stay notified for more great wine content. Okay, I am here with a 2015 Chianti Classico from Casa Sola. This is a wine that I picked up visiting the Chianti Classico region in Tuscany, Italy. Okay, and one of the reasons why I love it so much is that it's actually a good food wine and it's a good wine to cook with. So before we jump into why Sangiovese is such an oddity when it comes to wine, I have my friend Trent, the wine guide here, to tell you how to cook with Sangiovese. Take it away.
Hi Vince, and thank you so much for asking me to cook for you, even though it's kind of virtual and long distance. So we both love the Sangiovese grape, and you said, Trent, could you make something that uses the Sangiovese grape in some dish? And I said, absolutely. Well, I chose a boneless beef short rib Italian stew. And what I thought I would do today is tell you how I made it, give you some tips, and then I'll talk about the two wines that I decided to use in the cooking and what I had with it. And then Vince, you take it away and share with us some great insights into the Sangiovese grape. So basically you start with some boneless beef short ribs, and you'll add some crushed tomatoes, some garlic, some shallots, and then just maybe one bay leaf and a little bit of tomato paste. And you have to have pancetta. In fact, you'll see I have what's called a mise en place, and this is a great tip if you're just getting into cooking and you want to be better organized. That is, mise en place means everything in place. So everything that you're going to cook, have right there with you, so when you start cooking, you're not fumbling and going, oh, I have to open up the can of tomatoes. So it's a great technique. It works every time I try it. So basically, you pan-sear the beef short ribs, take them out, and then you add in the onions and let them wilt, and add in the garlic, and then stir in the tomato paste, and then the tomato sauce. And what I do is I pick a wine, and this time I'm going to use this one, you'll see in the episode, that I just use a basic Chianti. A good rule of thumb, a great tip when you're cooking with wine, pick a wine that you actually like, that you enjoy drinking. That's step one. Step two is you don't want to go too crazy. So this wouldn't be the time to like get a real heavy Brunello, maybe lots of TANNIC, and then put it in your meat, because it's gonna counteract it, and it's not gonna like bring out those nice flavors that you're trying to generate with your, in this case, my beef. So I picked a basic Chianti, and the nice dark cherryness comes through, and it kind of added to the beef stew. So another good tip is to use a really good beef stock, right? Or a veal stock. And I used a veal stock in my recipe. And let that all simmer, and it's going to take a good 2 to 3 hours to really let it cook down and do what it's supposed to. So my other tip that I used for cooking with wine is I saved some of the wine for the very end. So when it's all done, maybe about 30 minutes before I serve it, and it's just at a very slow simmer, I added in some more of my Chianti and just gave it a nice stir, and then turned it off and let it just finish and soak in. Why do I do that? Well, it gives a nice fresh vibrancy to the sauce. So you can still taste the wine flavor, because if you put all your wine in at the beginning, by the time you're done with something that's going to cook 2 to 3 hours, it can kind of dissipate a little bit. So a little technique I gave you is to stir in a little bit of wine just before you start serving it. And you may be thinking, wow, what am I going to serve with this? Well, for your pasta choices, you have really any pasta you like is going to go great with this braised beef short rib stew. So I tend to like the thick with ridges. So I like rigatoni for this, because it has a way to trap the sauce, and I have my beef and my the pancetta, because I leave my pancetta in there, I don't take it out, and I want something that's kind of sturdy. And if you get a chance, try to find something that's called paquette. It's even larger, they call it envelopes, right? Little packets, and those are really cool. You probably have to go to a specialty Italian store to get those. And a lot of people like fettuccine and spaghetti, so really any pasta that you like, you could pour this on top of it and let it set just for a little bit with some nice shaved Parmesan on top. Wow, is that going to be great? So to have something with it, I actually chose a Chianti Classico, and this is a great easy Chianti Classico you can find at any grocery store. Unbelievable price, about $15, and it went so well with it. Why is that? It has a little bit more structure, a little more tannin, a little bit more acidity, which I needed for a heavy meal like this, that just my plain Chianti didn't have. I used that for the cooking. Well, Vince, there you go. I so love Sangiovese, even in the form of Chianti, and especially in my stew. So take it away and tell us all about the Sangiovese grape. Can't wait to hear.
All right, very cool. Thank you so much, Trent. So one of the things that I really love about the Wine Guide is that he makes all of his videos so personal. It's like he has been to every single winery and every single region that he talks about. Usually shows you like some really cool pictures, or just like he did in this video, he'll be cooking with wine. He just adds this very personal touch, and for that reason, he can speak with such an authority when it comes to wine. So I really, really love watching his channel. Go give him your support and subscribe to the Wine Guide. So being an old world wine, Sangiovese, the wine grape, actually goes by Chianti, the wine region in Italy. And depending on the region, it can go by different names. In Italy, it's also called by its name regions such as Brunello di Montalcino. There's also Montepulciano, Rosso di Montalcino, and various other regions that use the Sangiovese grape. In the New World, such as California, you might find it under just the name Sangiovese. Okay, at long last, how does Sangiovese break the rules? The first thing I want you to notice is, look at that really low concentration. So you can see my hand right through the bottom of the bowl. Now, typically, a low concentration would mean a really soft body wine, but that's the first way that Sangiovese breaks the rules. Sangiovese has a really big tannic mouthfeel, even though it has such a see-through sort of ruby red color on it. And it's also got a ton of acidity, making it a really phenomenal wine with food, as Trent just showed you. Okay, come back in. Okay, another thing I want you to notice is, look at how garnety, and look around the rim here. It sort of has like this rusty, sort of coppering, maybe orange or browning edge to it. It looks sort of rustic, right? Now, typically, rustic colored wines, sort of orange or brown colors in wine, would actually tell you that the wine is aged. That's one way to show that you have an older red wine. Typically, those red wines will get lighter and more brown and rusty color as they go. But with Sangiovese, that wine is a natural rusty brown and red color. It almost looks super aged, when in fact, it's a very young wine. This is a 2015 from Casa Sola here, so this can still go another 6 to 10 years, and yeah, it's gonna get even lighter than it already is. So on sight alone, Sangiovese can kind of trick your mind into thinking it's gonna be a soft, light-bodied wine when in fact it's got all that tannin, or into thinking that it's an old wine when in fact it can be really young. Okay, now those things are cool, but the reason why I love Sangiovese is, of course, the taste. Italian Sangiovese can pick up phenomenal terroir and tastes like Italy. You can literally get flavors of thyme, oregano, and tomato. Those are common flavor characteristics found in Sangiovese. And what can be more Italian than thyme, oregano, and tomato? You get a lot of cherry, sometimes strawberry, and other red fruits, but the condition of those fruits is usually aged. It's usually these dried fruits instead of fresh fruits. It's dried cherries, dried cranberries. And then you get some earthy stuff in there too. Maybe like dried flower petals, dried roses. This is just so pretty. There's sometimes even leatheriness that can hit you in a Sangiovese as well. They're so complex, especially Italian Sangio. So I highly recommend Chianti Classico region Sangiovese for that more acidic, soft, and rustic style. Really great with tomato sauces, with pizza, and of course any other Italian foods. Or if you need something to go with your steak, I would go with something like Brunello di Montalcino, which tend to give you a bit more tannin, and they're gonna cut right through a cured, dried, aged piece of meat. Absolutely gorgeous. There's that grip of tannin, really gorgeous aged fruit characteristic, and just some dried, almost minty leaf on there. Really, really pretty. Now, Sangiovese, being such a food-friendly wine, is really popular, but it's actually very largely unrepresented. You're not gonna find it in a lot of world regions outside of Italy, and in fact, I think the #1 region that carries it outside of Italy is California. You'll find it under the varietal name Sangiovese, and they tend to be a bit more fruit forward. So you're gonna get a lot of cherry, a lot of florals, a lot of still dried condition of fruit, but it's definitely about the fruit and a little less about the herbaceousness. They also do, in my opinion, tend to be a little lighter and a little less complex. I do have a bias for the place where Sangiovese has found its home, in the gorgeous southern Italy. You can see the really cool little rooster here. God, I loved my time in Chianti. It's so beautiful, those rolling hills, absolutely gorgeous. This is the symbol for Chianti Classico, this rooster here. And you can see DOCG right there on the label. That comes on imported Italian wine, so that's how you'll know for sure that you've got an authentic, genuine Italian wine. DOCG, Denominazione di Origine Controllata e Garantita. Basically, it guarantees your wine growing region. All right, winos, that was just a quick crash course on Sangiovese, but there really is a lot to love here. This is why you should drink Sangiovese. It's a phenomenal food wine. It defies a lot of typical rules when it comes to wine, and it has been celebrated in Italy for thousands of years in winemaking. It's a phenomenal wine, and I hope you pick up a bottle to enjoy it. If you enjoyed what you saw here today, please leave me a like. That helps a lot. Don't forget to share this video with your wine friends. And until next time, winos, drink safe and drink well. To tell you how to cook with Sangiovese. Take it away.